I'm Professor Noltenmeyer. It's Nicole Bleeman.
And Liz Levine. We hope you enjoy our Practicum presentation
as much as we've enjoyed building the social media presence for our program.
Without further ado, here's our Practicum presentation. Enjoy! People want organizations to communicate as they would in a conversation, in a human, authentic way. Laurel Hart wrote this in Reputation Management, The Key to Successful Public Relations and Corporate Communication by John Dorley and Elio Fred Garcia. We thought this was a great underlying philosophy to keep in the back of our minds throughout the semester.
Before we were able to create the social media presence, we needed to see where we stood. So we did a situational analysis. A Facebook page called New York University PR&CC did exist for the program, but hadn't been updated since the beginning of 2012. The LinkedIn page also had not been used in months, and the program did not have a Twitter account before we started. Therefore, the situation had a lot of room for improvement. We also looked at comparable programs within New York University, from the School of Continuing and Professional Studies to the various academic departments and comparable degree programs. All of these different programs were on LinkedIn, as well as on Twitter. We also looked at different universities that had similar programs. Syracuse University's Newhouse Master's program was on all of the platforms we were planning to go to, as was Georgetown University, the University of Southern California. It's important to take note that this social media presence includes both an undergraduate and graduate school. And the University of Alabama was on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, not except LinkedIn.
So let's see how we look by comparison. We had a Facebook page that started with 292 likes. We had no Twitter account, but now we have one. And we had a LinkedIn page where we started with 462 members.
Our public relations and corporate communication program here at NYU did not have a strong social media presence, so our goal was to use our practicum to change that.
We want our audience to know about events. We want students and alumni to learn about job opportunities, and we want students and alumni to learn about one another and really get to know each other. So here's what we plan to do. Let's take a look at our measurable objectives. On Facebook, we wanted more likes, more content posted, and a larger audience reach. We knew Twitter would be a challenge because we had to start from scratch. We had hoped to have at least 100 followers before the end of the semester, and we hoped that tweeting at least 200 times would help us reach these goals.
LinkedIn already had a strong number of group members, but we hoped to increase that from 462 to at least 500. We also plan to post twice a week about various news and job opportunities. Then we encountered our first problem. There was a swirl hovering over where we would be able to post discussions. We reached out to the support team at LinkedIn. They acknowledged the problem, but unfortunately said they were working on it, but they weren't able to see a solution in the foreseeable future. So Liz and I had to go to plan B.
So, because this issue was never resolved, we decided to create a blog and start a get-to-know feature to facilitate networking and discussions. We had hoped to create at least 20 posts and achieve 1,000 views, which would be about 25 views per day, counting only weekdays for the duration of the blog. Being in public relations, we understand the importance of building and maintaining strong relationships. We knew we would need to capitalize on these relationships in order to be successful.
We wanted to use all the tools in our social media toolbox. Of course, this would include Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, albeit in a very limited capacity, and the WordPress blog. Then, of course, we could not forget about word of mouth. We would speak in classes and to our colleagues to make sure that they were following us on all of these different platforms. Soon after we met with Professor Noltenmeyer to go over our plan, we launched the Twitter account immediately. We gained access to Facebook and LinkedIn. Shortly thereafter, we created a blog, and we've been rolling pretty regularly for the past 2 months.
So we ended up using Facebook, Twitter, and WordPress for content, and we ended up using another social media tool, Pinterest, for organizational purposes. You can see here our Facebook reach. It's divided with organic, viral, and total reach. The organic means the number of unique people who saw content in the newsfeed, in the ticker, or on the page. Viral is the number of unique people who saw a story about this page published by a friend. Total is the total number of unique people who saw any content associated with our Facebook page. You can see that our peak was at 861 people, which was between October 18th and October 24th. You see this steep drop that happened? This was right after Hurricane Sandy, when many of our students and alumni unfortunately lost power in the New York City area. We're steadily now increasing again, and we're most recently, between November 28th and December 4th, back to 706 people reached per week. On Facebook, we were also able to see the reach of each individual post, how many engaged users there were per post, how many people were talking about each post, and how many people were sharing each post. We were happy to see that many people were sharing not only our blog posts, but also pictures of our guest speakers and various events. You can see here some of our more popular posts. That's by number of people reached. You can also filter by engaged users and how many people were sharing these posts. This is what our Twitter page looks like. Keep in mind, there was no Twitter page before we started this. We created the purple background, we created the logo for our program, and we tweeted over 300 times. So what time of day were we tweeting? We primarily were tweeting in mid-mornings and late afternoons. Additionally, we mostly tweeted Monday through Friday because we figured weekdays would be the best time to capture our audience's attention. Here you can see in light blue the number of tweets per day, which was fairly consistent, despite one day where we live tweeted the social media workshop and had many tweets in one day. But despite being fairly consistent with the number of tweets that we posted each day, we steadily increased our number of Twitter followers, and we now have 177 followers on Twitter. And this is how we set up our blog. Here you can see the home page where we have our Facebook and Twitter embedded on the side of our blog. We have our About the Program page, where we embedded the Vimeo video that was sent to us from Professor Dorley and Professor Noltenmeyer. We have our Get to Know series, where we've profiled a number of students. We have a number of profiles of guest speakers written by students of the program. And we have other various content that's interesting to all constituents of the program, including the Master Practitioner series with Professor Garcia, an alumnus's recent trip to the World Public Relations Forum of 2012, an alumni profile of another alumna of the program, etc., etc. So you can see here our blog views by week. As with Facebook, we had a sharp decline in week 44, which was right after Hurricane Sandy. But currently, we are rebuilding our audience, and we have steadily increased our viewership.
All right, with so many international students in our program, it should come as no surprise that our blog has been viewed in 20 different countries, though it is primarily viewed in the United States and has been seen and has had 1,560 views to date. Overwhelmingly, people were directed to the blog via Facebook. Twitter was the next most common pathway to the blog, followed by search engines Google, Bing, and Yahoo. We also had people referred to the blog from LinkedIn, Pinterest, and a mention on Professor Garcia's website, Professor Garcia's book, The Power of Communication, the website linked back to our blog. And while we couldn't post in LinkedIn, we were still able to increase membership to 519 people. This exceeded we were hoping to get 50 new members, and we received 57 new members on LinkedIn. On Facebook, we were hoping to gain 50 new likes, and we achieved 62 new likes, bringing the total to 354. We were planning to post about 60 times throughout the semester, and we ended up posting 83 times. On Twitter, where we were starting from scratch, we were hoping to gain 100 followers, and we achieved 177, which is 10 more than the number of people we are following. We were planning to tweet about 200 times throughout the semester, and we ended up tweeting 338 times. 104 of these tweets were mentioned in other tweets, and 44 of our tweets were retweeted. All of these numbers, again, exceeding our goals. And on WordPress, on our blog, we were planning to post about 20 different entries. We ended up posting 25.
So how did we use Pinterest? We did not use Pinterest as a promotional tool, but rather as an organizational tool. Pinterest worked well for us to help us organize our thoughts and see our main areas of focus. We created 4 boards, which we'll walk you through now. You can see here that this helped us navigate our Get to Know features, where you can see all of the students that we profiled this semester. Helped us organize our guest speakers. As well as all of our events and flyers. And of course, anything else related to the program. We have videos, pictures, articles, and more. In considering the visual appeal of social media, we particularly enjoyed playing with words on Wordle.net. These are some of the keywords associated with our program.
Another key component of our practicum, and of social media in particular, is not to let it lie dormant. Once you get started, it's really imperative that all of the mediums, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, the blog, they all need to stay as active as possible. So in order to ensure a smooth transition from fall semester to the next spring, we're hoping to help the next practicum team get off to a fast start. To do that, we've prepared draft blogs for the Get to Know series of both Nicole Bleeman and Liz Levine. They're seen here. We're also planning to give them out the passwords to all of the websites and any other administrative access that they would require. And of course, whenever they have questions, they'll be free to contact us.
So with this project, we couldn't have done this without the help of many people. We'd like to thank many different professors, alumni, contributors, guest speakers, basically anyone who we spoke to this entire semester who helped us get through this social media practicum with minimal trouble. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or other issues, you can feel free to tweet us at NYU PR&CC, send us a message on Facebook, or comment on our blog, or of course, you can email us. Thank you!